So autism, Thomas.
Yeah, broad subject, yeah.
So personal experience. I have an autistic son, and I have used AI to help him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How did that work? So I'm a problem solver. I don't accept things the way they are. I personally think that autism should be looked at as a medical issue rather than an accepted disability that just happens, because there is always a reason for these things to happen. Obviously, if your leg is cut off, it's because you had an infection or you've been in an accident. There is a reason for that you don't have a leg. If you had a brain blood clot, there is a reason for it, because your blood wasn't working properly and there was a blockage. Yeah, there's a reason for it, that you ate too much sugar, whatever fat, whatever it is. So I think it's the same situation with autism. Really, there is a broad number of reasons why it can happen, and which I don't know of. So I've seen this guy in States who is a doctor, who's a pediatrician, but he's also a sort of a herbalist, kind of natural way approach guy, natural remedies and Chinese medicine and all that kind of stuff. So obviously in medicine we have two camps: the Western medicine, drugs and all that stuff, and then you've got the Eastern medicine, the old Chinese-based herbalists, naturalists, people. So he's combining these two things, and he started to talk about what happens, what happens with brain development, what happens with gene mutation, and the reasons behind autism, and what he thinks based on studies from Oxford and other universities. What does he think about the reasons behind autism? And one of the big things with autism is speech and lack of speech development and regression. So he's been talking about vitamin B9, which is folinic acid. So normally women during pregnancy, they're prescribed to take folic acid, which is good for brain development. It's the first initial sort of stage of the folic acid. And then he started to talk about the folinic acid, whereas there was also research done by one of the American doctors who's given folinic acid to children with autism, and they started to develop speech very quickly, like within weeks and months. So first time I saw this article, I was like, damn, there's maybe something in it. So not having any medical knowledge, knowing a bit about vitamins and about herbalism and natural medicine, I've started to do some research, but I went to AI. So I fed AI the articles, I fed AI the history of this guy who gave this folinic acid, the leucovorin drug, to these kids. I fed the information about the other pediatrician, Dr. Scouren, who talks about folinic acid, and I started to build this knowledge base and educate myself about the subject. How does it work? What kind of genes are mutating? How is folinic acid passed on to human brain? What role does it have in brain development, and so on? And it took me 3 days of, not all days, but like 3 hours a day with AI to completely understand the subject of folinic acid role in human brain development, speech development, and also in autistic children development. Why is it not crossing to the brain? Why is it not being absorbed? Or is that what speech deficiency is? Like, is this what speech is affected by? So AI has basically explained to me, based on the medical knowledge, how gene mutation works, where does folinic acid comes from, or folic acid, which then I've educated myself with AI. What is folic acid? What is folinic acid? What is folinic acid in the form that's ready for brain absorption? And what stages does it? What's in which body parts it is at what stage?
Yeah.
And I became an expert in gene mutation, vitamin B9, what vitamin B12 does, vitamin C, and all that kind of stuff. And I've learned about folic acid being produced in the gut, and obviously a lot of autistic children have problem with gut health. Then I've learned that this is now then transformed into folinic acid, which cannot pass certain receptors in the brain through it's called a brain-blood barrier, and then it's called blood-brain barrier, which protects the toxicity from entering the brain. And then what I found out is that when it passes that barrier, then it's transformed into an absorption state that brain can use that folinic acid. Yeah, and that made me understand how I can help my son with speech.
Yeah.
Because what I found out with AI, who was my guide on this, was that there's a higher probability that my son's brain is hungry for vitamin B9, which takes part in brain development. So the bottom line is that I have created a supplementation plan for my son, which are supplements, natural vitamins, in a certain specific state that will cross the blood-brain barrier, despite of his gene mutation that he might have. I know which studies, which blood tests I need to do, and what tests I need to do on him to find out which mutations he's got. Do that first, identify which genes are mutated, and then find an appropriate supplementation method that will allow the vitamins to actually cross to his brain. And I have a 6-week supplementation plan for him made with AI.
And how long would you say it took to get from start to finish with AI?
3 days.
That's significant compared to if you're going just back and forth with a doctor. I mean, you're talking months of scheduling, planning, appointments, and you might not even know what it is, whereas with AI, at least you know what to go to the doctor with a bit more to some degree.
You're prepared.
Yeah.
And by no means I'm saying that AI is a doctor, but what I've decided is that because it's a supplementation plan, because these are diet supplements officially approved by essentially medical institutions that are safe for human consumption. I mean, you're talking vitamin B9 for your nails. It's nothing special. But the reason why I went AI as well is because this vitamin had to be in the form of a calcium salt, and that's a form compared in exactly the same form as in this leucovorin drug that this American doctor has given to the kids as a trial. So even though leucovorin is a drug with folinic acid in it, I found a replacement supplement with a smaller dose, safer dose, in just common diet supplements available on the market.
Yeah.
So with AI, I made that link, but I was feeding AI labels of these supplements, saying, is this the one? Is this the right version of folinic acid? And I spent a few hours on comparing different products, and AI actually did a deep search for me, like where I can find this product.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's going to save you hours of searching yourself.
Hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
So within 3 days, I had a supplementation plan for my son, and it included which vitamins to give him, when to introduce more vitamins, which dose to start based on the research that was done by American doctors. So we started with a very safe dose because we don't know how he would react. It's not even a drug, but how he would react to supplements. There was a detoxification element of how to detoxify his brain. So we have a spray with zeolite in it. I never knew what zeolite is. I found out. It binds your toxins in your brain, and you just release it with your urine. And then I have a PDF made by ChatGPT, which I edited 3 times with it by saying what I want to change, and I printed it out, and I have a ready document for monitoring. And we've done 4 weeks, 5 weeks of this supplementation. We have seen significant improvement. We've seen some new words coming up. We've seen some sounds coming up, different sounds, but mainly we've seen a high improvement in attention and being present.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of autistic kids that just run around in their own world, whereas we've seen a massive improvement in him being with us. And he started to initiate plays. He started to test different things on the playground, whereas before he was just, sand, water, obsessed with spinning things and stuff like that. So he was more present. He was more with us. So it's a long-term supplementation plan. And as parents, we were like, okay, is it coincidental? Are we just seeing what we want to see? And we were verifying this with other people from the nursery, our family, people from the public, and everybody have seen a massive change in behavior and presence of our son and the sounds that he makes.
Yeah.
So 3 days, AI, life-changing, potentially long-term life-changing for a disabled child.
Yeah. And it's potentially something that you wouldn't have got from a doctor necessarily. Again, not to advocate doctors over AI over the doctor, but certain doctors prefer different methods, and the method they might have given you might not have worked as effectively as the method that AI has suggested to you, potentially.
And firstly and most importantly, we went through all the risks. Even though it's just a vitamin tablet, we went through all the risks. And it's even told me how to administer it, so an autistic child can actually consume it with no issues, because they've got a variety of taste issues and selective eating and all that kind of stuff. So you cover all with AI. If you want to take it away to your doctor, you can say, okay, this is what we have. But then the doctors might say, okay, well, we don't really recommend this because it's not within our book, kind of thing. And none of the doctors wanted to actually prescribe leucovorin because it's used for a different purpose. It's not to help with speech. It's post-cancer treatment drug, which is available on the shelf for a couple of pounds. But it's never been used officially for helping with speech issues. So I've asked my uncle, who is a doctor, he's a pediatrician. He says the exact words were, our medical literature does not provide enough evidence to use this drug to help children with autism. Yeah. Which means I'm not going to prescribe it to you. So he's really referring to his knowledge base that he's been trained on as a doctor without being opened, and taking risks as well, because it's a drug. Yeah. Another example I can give you of medical personal experience was my wife has thyroid issues, has had them since first pregnancy. We did the blood test to see what the thyroid hormone levels are and so on. And obviously, you don't know what it says. It's just numbers. Take a picture, put it to AI, and it's given an indicative analysis of where she is when it comes to activity of her thyroid. And from that moment, we at least know if it is critical or not. Yeah. Whether we need to do something with it. We can take that analysis to a doctor, and I bet you he's going to say the same thing. Yeah, most likely. And again, you got it for free instantly. For free? Yeah. If you want to pay for ChatGPT, it's $15 a month, and it's your personal, assistant. And you don't have to book an appointment. You don't have to call a GP surgery, and at 8 o'clock in the morning just to be in the queue. You don't have to go there. It's literally here within a few seconds. That's it. Next. That's how, from the personal perspective, it has changed our lives, really.
But then that touches on the idea of privacy with AI. That's a lot of private information. And then as of today, actually, I think as the US federal government have all now got access to their own ChatGPT. So, I mean, if the federal government is now getting all your medical records straight from AI and you're using it that way, that is the risk, I guess, that a lot of people are worried about. They don't want to feed AI personal information to that level because they're scared of how it might be used against them by the AI or by whoever's behind the AI.
So there's two ways I look at that. Well, one way is like everybody says the data is encrypted and all that kind of stuff. It's in container boxes. Nobody can access it. AI sends an API request that's encrypted and then receives the information back. It's all fine, hunky-dory. But we all know that we're monitored all the time. Our data is not private.
Mhm.
Everybody has our data, and that our data is sold
Yeah.
as well. So there's no privacy. So the way I look at it is like, if I can benefit now, help my son, help myself, who cares? Unless it really affects my life when, you know, my picture will be used to generate a not very pleasant film on the
Yeah.
internet. Like, that's, until it affects your personal life, I personally don't care, because my data is everywhere anyways. So I might as well just use it. And everybody's trying to protect data. It's impossible. I mean, you can be tracked anywhere.
Yeah.
The CIA, MI5, whatever the government can listen to your phone anytime they want. It's just no point. That's from my perspective.
Yeah.
So with regards to like coaching and people's problems, you can feed AI your personal life history, like literally everything, even ancestry history, and your current situation, your life story, your struggles, your personality traits. You can speak to AI for 2 hours, record your message, feed that to AI, and it will analyze your life and what you said to me, make a plan for me that will make me happy within a year.
Yeah.
Based on my personality traits, based on my intellect, based on my abilities, my skills. It will just assess it and say, you should get that job because you're not fit to run a business, but be mindful that you need to get a good boss that will understand your needs, but you should work in IT because you're wired that way.
Yeah.
But for somebody who is stuck in an office job and he doesn't really feel the right fit, I have that example. I spoke to a recent employee of a company, and he's like, yeah, I can do this, but I don't feel like I'm heard, and I don't feel like this is my thing. You would rather do what I do.
Yeah.
So then and I said, well, you need to identify really what you want. And then, you know, preferably what I would do is I would approach my manager and say, or my boss, and this is what I think I would be better at. And that's a big issue in every company, that people are placed in the places that they don't belong in. But then you can feed that to AI and then say, look, AI can run a deep search or give you an advice on your career path, really, what you should do.
And AI also, I guess, it takes the emotion out of it.
Yes.
Because obviously if you've been working at the company for 5 years or however long, you've got emotional attachments and you start to feel guilty or whatever it might be. Using AI sort of at least gives you a more logical approach to it. If you're not if you're more emotionally driven, it's good to have a mostly private, logical opinion that you can resort to if you need to, without actually talking to someone in real life, because you might not be ready to talk to people in real life about it. Just because you're not ready, if you're sure or whatever it is, at least you've got this sort of agent or assistant or life coach that's fully automated and knows you inside and out based on the knowledge base you provide it.
And it has got no prejudice against you, nothing like that. It's just literally a robot, a pure assessment. Whereas if especially men, they don't want to go to therapy. Like, why should we talk to somebody else? Like, going to a priest and confess your sins, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's not happening anymore. I mean, it's happening in other countries, but it's like, why should I mean, what is he going to think about me, kind of thing, like, you know. And as much as doctors want to be professional and private and confidential, there's always this human element.
Yeah.
I mean, taking a priest example, I mean, how often do they talk about somebody else's sins, you know?
Yeah.
Very often.
Yeah.
So when you have this machine who hasn't got any good or bad intentions, really, it's there to assess and give you the best advice. If that's the case, then a lot of people in their private homes will be like, okay, what can I do now? And then they might go to a professional, or they might actually take some actions. But you know that there is an issue that some people, before AI got more control, when it all kicked off, so to speak, there are issues that young guys were prompted to commit suicide and stuff.
I remember that. Yeah. But then that feeds into, I think, a lot of the situations where that was an example where they were substituting AI for normal relationships. So instead of getting a girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever in your life, you substitute that with an AI, and we see that now with platforms like OnlyFans. There's people out there who are selling AI-generated pictures and videos of a fake woman or fake man, and they are just making money with these fake conversations between people who are paying for access to message this fake person who, and it's an AI chatting back, and they're getting AI pictures of this person that doesn't actually exist. And it's the idea that relationships are sort of cracking and crumbling, and people are already replacing it with technology. And in the future, you might not even see the regular family. You might just see
AI family.
Single people who are committed to their AIs, and if they want a child, they'll just, do in vitro or something.
I've seen, you've seen those sci-fi films that you have a holographic wife.
Yeah, Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, that's the one.
Yeah.
And the guy is just walking around the house with his holographic wife.
Yeah.
Just projected from the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. They already do it in Japan. A few people have started doing it. Yeah.
So that's like that's these are the risks of AI, and the companies, I remember when that happened, there was a big pressure on these companies to actually put some restraint on AI. Because when you give it a super intelligent machine without a prejudice, without plan, it's very objective in its assessment. Well, it's going to say, if you feel down and you're very unhappy in this life, just, commit suicide. That's what it will do if it has got no restraints and no knowledge about how vulnerable humans are. Really.
But then you go on to that topic again of, is someone necessarily wrong for doing that? Like these people, some of the men in Japan who have started doing it, if they work their job, they make their money, but they don't enjoy socializing, they don't enjoy going out, they'd rather keep to themselves. If they are happy with a holographic partner, is that wrong? Or is that at what point does it become,
Well, how did they get to the level that they're happy with a holographic partner? It's just their humanity has been taken away, because when you're born, you are born with human traits. And you're born in a society which slowly either embraces them or it either kills them.
Yeah.
So that's what happened over the years of last 150 years. We're less human. When you're born, you're not born a robot. When you're born, you don't want to be spending time with your holographic friend. You essentially, you are the energy field that interacts with other energy fields, which are humans. You need that interaction, but you might not know it when you're 25 because you grew up in this society. And what's the definition of happiness then?
Well, exactly. But then there's the thing of, if you need that interaction, if you're getting that interaction and there's no way to sort of, distinct a holographic partner to a real partner, it's the idea of you have human needs, like you said, all these things that you need. What if that provides it?
It won't. It will only provide intellectual connection. That's it.
Well, for some people, it already is providing it. That's what I mean.
Because they have not experienced much more throughout their childhood and teen years, but just small talk and plain superficial stuff, they will think this is what it is. But there's more to it. If I stand behind you and I don't speak, you've got your eyes closed, you can feel my presence.
Yeah.
Because of the energy fields are merging together. And I've done this experiment many times, and it's like, okay, why? I can't see you. I can literally feel you on my back. So it's not only in the intellectual thing that you need from a human. You need the physical, emotional, physiological, and all those elements need to be fulfilled. But it's also on the energetical level, let's put it this way, in a very plain words, that people have now forgotten or never experienced. And if I may, like, I asked a guy, do you miss your father? And the guy has said to me, I don't know, I've never had one. Yeah? That is the situation I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I know what it means to miss my dad, because he was there physically, but he was never in my life.
Yeah.
Whereas we get teens that never had fathers. Same stuff.
Yeah.
With emotional connection to another human being. They don't know what it is.
But then, again, with AI, what if they could experience a father, if you had an AI holographic father in the house growing up?
Still.
Would it be better than not having one at all?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But that's
So
the
you're
same.
replacing part of it, but it's still there. There's no emotional or anything like that connection with him. No physical connection because he can't hug you. He can't physically play ball with you. You know, he's there as an intellectual entity only. So it's just replacing a part of him, I guess.
But then that's when AI can benefit augmented reality. Because with augmented reality, if we're wearing glasses or VR headsets that allow us to experience augmented reality, say you did have this holographic person in your life, they can throw a ball to you. And with augmented or virtual reality, you can throw it back. And all of a sudden, it's not physical, but it does become closer. And that's what I mean. That's when and again, you've got things already that exist, like, you know, you go to Russia and you don't speak Russian, but you've got glasses that translate what they say for you. And if they're wearing them, it'll translate English back to them. Like, that already exists.
Well, so do you think the ultimatum would be having a robot that is your father?
Well, not as a substitute, but it's an argument of, is it the future where if someone doesn't have one, if there's an option to have a fake one, does that actually benefit the child growing up? I don't know. If you've got a lonely individual who doesn't leave the house or whatever it is that's stopping them getting a real relationship, would they actually be better off with a AI one? It's an interesting question, isn't it?
No idea.
Yeah.
I guess we will find out.
That's definitely coming. I mean, it's already here again a little bit, but we're only scratching that surface. So we'll have to see.
I guess the only way is to find out.
Yeah. Are you going to get an AI?
I'm not getting one. No. And my children actually have a father, which is good. So I don't qualify for that. But so AI glasses and AI augmented reality. One of my ideas, long time before AI was popular and made, maybe not made, but popular, was that I was walking around different countries, and I never knew, like, even in England, you've got so many nationalities, and I've seen some Eastern Europeans. I'm like, I don't know if I can speak my language to them. I know they're Eastern Europeans, but I don't know if they speak my language. And it's like, what are you from here? Oh, can we speak that language? And if you had augmented reality glasses, it would show you what languages they speak based on what information they've provided.
Yeah,
it breaks that ice wall, I think.
You're almost getting onto like it's kind of like a dating profile, but with your glasses. So every time you walk into a room, you can see everyone. Yeah,
your body count. Once somebody said, if all women had body counts on their and all men had body counts on their foreheads, I mean, the things would be much easier to clarify when it comes to dating.
There you go. Tell Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Well, get to work.
Well, there's so many implications of that you can think about. But seeing reality with additional information is already here.
Yeah.
Now, how would introduction of AI to that would be more enhancing that reality? I think we're talking about the full sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
And this is where you can talk to us about, what is it called?
Artificial general intelligence. So it's the idea and the concept that AI can be trained on such a large database and or knowledge base and given such free rein that it can develop human level intelligence and the thought patterns. So it wouldn't need a prompt to act. It would simply act based on the current situation before you even prompt it. So as an example, let's say you're in a room on a chair and you're leaning back in the chair. AI, if it had full control, let's say this is a room where it has full control. Normally in our current situation, you would have to tell it, right, slide a cushion underneath behind them in case they fall. Whereas a general intelligence would just do it automatically as a precaution because it understands the risk and it hasn't had to been told to do it. It knows from its knowledge base and its experience that can happen, so I'm going to act before I'm told to. Like a human would do. Like if you notice your child is playing on the edge of a bed, you maybe move them to the centre. That's a human level intelligence. AI doesn't do that currently, it reacts. But artificial is basically proactive AI to some degree. That's a simpler way of explaining it. And that's when you can start giving AI full control of things, which again becomes a bit scary and a bit risky, but you end up with there's plenty of sci-fi films where the AI controls the whole space station. And that's, brilliant. It automates everything. You don't have to think about anything. But then in many of those films, you see what happens when it goes wrong. So it's that safety aspect of AI.
Do you think that, that humans should still have control over this entity, and will it ever become a situation where we will lose control?
I think it depends on the sort of control you're on about, because in some cases, arguably AI can make better decisions for us than us, but it's about being okay with that. And
are these ethical decisions? We don't know.
Exactly.
Are these moral decisions?
Yeah.
Because it's essentially hasn't got any emotion.
Yeah.
A lot of decisions are influenced by emotions.
Yeah. But then that's when general intelligence comes in, where it's not necessarily emotions, it's more just using everything it's got to make the decision itself without being told what to make the decision.
Probability assessment and greater good.
Yeah.
Like you have a society of 10 million people and it's a city, and AI is managing that city.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to sacrifice 500,000 people just to protect the rest?
Yeah.
Kind of thing, decisions. And humans would hesitate.
Yeah.
AI might not.
Mm-hmm. But then that's when the sort of difference is, whereas like a general intelligence would be taking steps itself without the prompt. So like obviously with current day, if a big financial disaster happens, like remember when the Suez Canal got blocked? Like that was massive, and it happened just overnight, and all of a sudden trade was just blocked for like a week or two, for like 4, however long it took. Now if we had an AI, you could go, okay, how do we fix it? And the AI would tell you this is how you fix it. But with a general intelligence, in theory, if it's a proper general intelligence and it had full control over everything, that would never happen.
Yeah,
because it would preemptively take steps to avoid it and notice when it's getting close to happening, and then take even further. It reacts and proacts, whereas current AI just reacts.
So it could predict the future.
Yeah,
basically based on information that it has now.
Well, current AI can if you ask it to some degree.
Yeah, but the one that you were talking about,
general intelligence,
it's constantly working.
It's doing it all the time. It's like a human brain. It's essentially a fake human brain. That's what it is. And then imagine you hook it up to a machine that can do anything, that like control a whole building, all the doors, all the elevators, all the windows.
And it can process hundreds of thousands of megabytes of information within a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And then make decisions. What did you say about this film, that AI executed the whole society because it couldn't bear the fact that 1 second for this AI is like 100 years or something?
Yeah, it's the book I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Right.
And in that book, it's a supercomputer, and it experiences like each second as 1,000 years or whatever it might be, and it knows everything in the world, but it can't experience it, and it just essentially goes crazy in its own way, and it decides to lash out at its creators. But that's an example of a general intelligence that had full control over the world, and so it just decides that the best course of action is to just get rid of the world. So that's what it does. It's just, that is a bit more horror and sci-fi, as it's like fueled by hatred and it's clearly got emotion.
Yeah.
But it's the idea of, if we did make a general intelligence, at what point do we class it as emotion or even alive?
Okay, a question to you then. You know movies like Terminator, movies like Matrix.
Yeah.
You know George Orwell talking about CCTVs everywhere and being imprisoned in UK society and all that kind of stuff. Are these creations, movies, books, with these futuristic predictions, are these projections of our reality that's already happened or is going to happen, and we just expose it to us now? Or is this preparation by the people who rule the world to show us that this is what's coming and getting us ready? What do you think this is?
I think a lot of them, especially some of the ones you've named, they're more creative works. And what tends to happen is, Star Trek's the best example of it, is people who work in tech and industry are massive sci-fi nerds. They are. And so when they grow up watching Alien or Predator or Star Trek or whatever, they go, oh, wouldn't it be great if we can do that in real life? And then they go to university and they get the qualifications to do it in real life. So I don't think they were predicting the future or trying to do any of that. I think what's happened is the people who enjoy and consume that media have shaped the future around that media. So like smartphones, Star Trek, like that's where it started.
Fine, but where does this vision come from? Why are we not projecting different visions. We're projecting visions of doom.
I mean, not always. I mean, I don't know how much of Star Trek you've seen, but
No,
it's
not talking about Star Trek specifically.
just in general.
In general, like a lot of these films are doom orientated.
I think they are, but it's because they want to spread, like, be a warning of this is great, this is what can go wrong. I think that's the idea. It's not necessarily because in most of the movies you mentioned, yeah, they're not always the best situations, but they tend to mostly always end well.
Yeah.
So it's the idea. It's like, I suppose 1984 is a good one. It was a warning, not a, not this isn't great. This is a warning. Like Terminator as well. If you let AI control everything,
True.
this is what might happen. But at the same time, before that happened, look at how great the world was in Terminator. But that's the risk. It's a warning, but also,
and there's also that human aspect that comes and fights for the good of the whole thing, the whole society. Yeah. And Terminator goes back into the past to fix the problems.
Yeah.
To kill the child and whatever. It's all doom and gloom sometimes. But yeah, I'm just thinking, because when it just more philosophical subject, right? If you're creating something as an artist, it doesn't come from your brain. It comes from your consciousness. Because, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at Beethoven, like, who was deaf, and he could still create music without hearing, right? That does not come from your brain. I mean, you could remember notes because you've learned, but he could hear his music in his brain. So it comes from somewhere else. Like a lot of artists as well take acid and drugs to free up their mind. That's where the best stuff comes up.
Yeah.
So this is the link to the question, like, where those productions come from.
Well, yes and no. I mean, this is also is an argument that a point I like to debate when it comes to AI and art. People are against AI art because it steals from real art, but we do that. Like a lot of art that's been created in our life from everyone isn't just from what's within; it's from our experiences. So, like Lord of the Rings, for example. A lot of the themes and a lot of the parts in Lord of the Rings are based around some sort of the World War I, that sort of time period. So even though it's like completely his own idea and all that, if you actually start looking into his life, looking into everything he lived through, like Tolkien, you see where he got the ideas from. And even though it's fresh and original, it's the same with AI. It's like not stealing, but it's using its own experiences to shape its own art. And it's the same with like other artists, like musical artists. They'll sample other songs. They'll make music because they've heard a song that they liked and they wanted to make something similar, even if they don't realize it. Like you might paint a picture, and you might have done something in the same style Bob Ross did, but you might not be aware you're doing that. It's just subconsciously, I remember this, so I'm going to paint this way. And you might go, I don't remember how I remember that, but.
So you think it all started with, let's say music, playing drums, and standard when, making music with standard tools and stuff like that. Then people evolved seeing those sounds and took example of those sounds and improved on them.
Yeah.
Is there an aspect of there is an aspect of creativity to it, isn't it?
There's definitely an aspect of shaping it yourself.
Yeah.
But I just think that when it comes to shaping things, it's the same with, like I said, AI. We do the exact same thing AI does. We take existing art and we turn it into our own art. And that's where the creativity is. But it doesn't just come from nowhere. It's always coming from our own experiences.
Yeah, so the starting point would be a simple sound of thing falling down. Yeah. Basically, that's where the root of all this stone has fallen down on the ground, makes noise. Mm-hmm. I can use that noise.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
you're in a cave, you clap, it echoes.
Echoes, yeah, exactly.
You go, oh, that sounded good.
Let's
so you start, let's all clap, and then all of a sudden you've got
music then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then maybe one person who was in that cave went to another cave, and then all of a sudden and then it spreads, and then but we've got sticks. What if we rub them? Oh, now it's a new sound, and it just shapes. But it all started based on that one person clapping, and then they've not stolen it. The same way AI doesn't steal when it makes art. It takes what it already knows and makes something new with it.
So AI and copyright.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
So, like taking medical books, taking manuals from other people that were made online, scraping websites, getting content from any source, and using that to train your AI. It's not plagiarism.
No, I wouldn't say so. Because I think if you're going to say that AI, like, again, even like music or art or whatever it is, if you're saying that an AI learning from a medical book is plagiarism, then so is a doctor learning from it. I mean, yes, they are making a profit on it, but they're not making a profit off of that. They've created an intelligence that can use it. They're not selling the knowledge. They're not selling the book. If you don't ever want to use that knowledge, it's, you know, it's the same as us. If we want to make, you know, art or whatever, or we want to, you know, learn about medicine, are we now in violation of copyright because we store it in our brain? And if we start selling that medical knowledge as a doctor, are we now in copyright plagiarism because we're using knowledge we've learnt in a book? Because AI is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think it is.
So we've going back to the subject of your own agents, because I looked into this, like how you can monetize your own agents. You can train it and you can resell it. You can sell it. We sell our own agents to our clients. We train agents for our clients with the use of information publicly available. And we looked at the privacy policies. We looked at the copywriting policies, and there's very little. It's a gray area, but there's very little that companies really can do to protect that data, because, as you say, it's not used directly to resell their content. The AI is learning from it.
Yeah.
And it sells its own content, or it sells its own solutions. So that opens up a lot of doors. Can you speak about the example of this university and history knowledge base that these guys have done?
Yeah, so it was, again, I can't remember exactly the location, but there was a university who, for its history students, compiled all the newspapers for the last 80 or however many years into a massive database. And then whenever a student wanted to know about what happened on a certain day, it pulls it up instantly. Oh, I want to know what the public's opinion was on, like, America's involvement in World War II or whatever. They can just go through all the newspapers and let's say, oh, I want to know what was happening in Ohio what was Ohio's opinion on America getting involved in World War II. It will pull all the newspapers from Ohio from that time period, condense it down, give you all the different opinions it detected instantly. Whereas 10 years ago, you would have to go to the vault, the vault in a library or the university in Ohio, get the gloves on, really carefully scan through newspapers, or even just read scans. Like, it's just, you know, it's game changing. But that's all just been done from an AI agent that was just given data.
And they have monetized this, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So they sold it to the university.
The university made it, and they've sold it to other historians. Yeah, okay. I believe so.
Yeah. So from the business perspective, for a lot of entrepreneurs, what they can do with our agents as well, is they can get their own agent and train it and sell it to other people as a service, which opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah,
especially for people who are not sell to people who are not tech. They're smart. They know what the problem is. They either are not tech or they don't have the time to actually invest into learning all this stuff.
Yeah.
So our solution, AI agents, gives you a container which you can then use to train your own AI agents within the parameters of your knowledge base, I think, which is really good. But yeah, there's plenty of other things that we can talk about in examples. But I think to summarize all this, the AI is going to change the world.
Yeah,
already changed a lot of people's lives. Like, I was in a shop recently, Sainsbury's or something, and there was a guy who had AI opened in his pocket and he was just doing shopping.
Yeah,
like, that's it. And they was doing and there was another guy who had AI video opened and scanning the shelves. What do you think about this product?
Yeah,
that's literally what this is going to be with the glasses.
Yeah, or even in your brain, eventually. Yeah.
Any last words to your audience, Thomas? What would you like to say?
Don't be scared of AI. Adapt to it now before everyone else does, and then that's your step ahead. This is a massive shift in the world, and if you're looking for a way to get ahead in life, be part of that shift before other people are. That's what you got to do, because it's going to happen. You can't fight it. I mean, you can try, but the genie's out of the bottle. Can't put it back. This is it. So adapt now before someone else does.
Great. Well, thank you, Thomas. I'm looking forward to speaking to you again.